Amenhotep III, Tut's father or grandfather, was a powerful pharaoh who had ruled for almost 4 decades at the height of the 18th dynasty's golden age. That means when his father or grandfather was ruling, it was known as the golden age of their dynasty. His son Amenhotep IV succeeded him and initiated one of the strangest periods in the history of ancient Egypt. The new pharaoh promoted the worship of the Aten, the sun disk, changed his name to Akhenaten or servant of the Aten, and moved the religious capital from the old cities of Thebes to the new city of Akhenaten, also known as Amarna. Since centuries, whatever has been carried out by Amenhotep III now was taught by Amenhotep IV. The very first thing that he did was that he changed his name from Amenhotep IV to Akhenaten, that meaning the servant of the Aten. Second one, he moved the religious capital from Thebes to Amarna. He further shocked the country by attacking Amun. Since centuries, they had been worshipping the god Amun, but now, after the coming of Amenhotep IV, he started the worship of Aten. It must have been a horrific time, said Ray Johnson, the director of the University of Chicago's Research Center in Luxor, the site of ancient Thebes. The family that had ruled for centuries was coming to an end. It was but obvious. Now the people would not at all would have been able to tolerate this barbaric nature of Amenhotep IV. So that meant that it was going to be the death rattle of the dynasty. And then Akhenaten went a little wacky. It says, when you become very powerful, when you want more and more power, when you start doing something that is against the nature, nature is not going to forgive you. The same thing happened to Amenhotep IV. He went a little wacky. Wacky means he became a bit mad. After Akhenaten's death, a mysterious ruler named Smenkhare appeared briefly and exited with hardly a trace. Now there have been so many rulers ruling over so many kingdoms. Some would have been very powerful. Some would have come and would have gone. There would not at all have been any trace left because they did not do anything concrete. And then a very young Tutankhaten took the throne, King Tut, as he is widely known today. The boy king soon changed his name to Tutankhamun. That means it is said that in the lineage, that means in the family line, there comes, if at all, if some injustice or something wrong has been done, there comes a person who changes the entire thing. This boyish pharaoh by the name of King Tut, now he again restored the old ways. Amun, their god for centuries, who had been denied to worship by Amenhotep IV, now again the people could worship this god Amun. The boy king soon changed his name to Tutankhamun, the living image of Amun, and oversaw a restoration of the old ways. He reigned for about 9 years and then died unexpectedly. It is said that good things do not last forever. So what had happened to this good boy king? That he died in a very mysterious manner. Now let us see the lineage of the dynasty. Amenhotep III was either the father or the grandfather of King Tut. Then came Amenhotep IV, known as Akhenaten, who became a bit wacky, who became mad. What did he do? He changed. He stopped working the god Amun, changed his name to Akhenaten from Amun. And then he changed the religious capital from Thebes to Amarna. After Amenhotep IV came the ruler Smenkhare for a brief period and left without a trace. Then after Smenkhare came the boyish pharaoh Tutankhaten, that is Tutankhamun, which he had restored the old ways of worshipping the god Amun. Regardless of his fame and the speculations about his fate, Tut is one mummy among many in Egypt. There are so many mummies. Now, you would have seen that pyramids. Now, these mummies, or rather the graves, they are known as the pyramids. And in the pyramids, these mummies are kept. So, there are so many mummies that has been traced. They have been discovered in the Egyptian desert. How many? No one knows. The Egyptian Mummy Project, which became an inventory in the late 2003, has recorded almost 600 so far and still is counting. But King Tut's mummy is different from all the others' mummy. Why? Because it is the first mummy to be scanned after death, moving regally ahead of his countrymen. In other words, even today in the modern times, people are not at all able to afford one square meal a day. They are not able to afford the treatment, the expensive medical treatment. There, this mummy had undergone a CT scan. So this is how he was still moving ahead of his countrymen. A CT machine scanned the mummy head to toe, creating 1700 digital X-rays images in cross-section. When you undergo a CT scan, your three-dimensional image is made, which tells us how you would have looked like in your past. With Tut's entire body similarly recorded, a team of specialists in radiology. Now, what do you mean by radiology? It's a science of radiation. Forensics and anatomy began to probe. Probe means to investigate the secrets that the winged goddess of a gilded burial shrine protected for so long. It is believed that above the pyramid of King Tut is the constellation Orion, who has been safeguarded by Osiris, that is the goddess of afterlife, who has been guarding the pyramid of King Tut from a very long time. The night of the scan, workmen carried Tut from the tomb in his box like pallbearers. Now, what do you mean by pallbearers? These are the pallbearers. That means those particular people who carry the coffin for and the body for the burial. That is known as the pallbearers. So they took out King Tut's body from his grave, and these pallbearers took the body out of his grave. They climbed a ramp and a flight of stairs into the swirling sand outside. Now, the graveyard of King Tut was underground. Now, from underground, from 26 feet down, this mummy was taken out, the coffin was taken out, and it was brought up. Like pallbearers, they climbed a ramp and a flight of stairs into the swirling sand outside, then rose on a hydraulic lift. Now, what is a hydraulic lift? A hydraulic lift is that particular lift which is used to lift up some heavy object or a box. This hydraulic lift was used to lift up the coffin of King Tut. 20 minutes later, two men emerged, sprinting for an office nearby. Sprinting means moving quickly. And returned with a pair of white plastic fans. The $1 million scanner had quit. Now, you very well know that is the Egyptian area is a desert area filled with sand, and because the wind kept on blowing, what had happened? The sand was caught in this $1 million scanner, and it had stopped working. The $1 million scanner had quit because of sand in a cooler fan. It was the curse of the pharaoh, joked a guard nervously. In his nervous state, just in a joking manner, the guard said that it was the curse of the pharaoh. Who is the pharaoh? The king. Who was the king? King Tut, who did not want to be lifted from his place of burial or from his resting place. But these archaeologists, in order to study about what was the reason of his death and what was his age, they took out his body, and because the $1 million scanner had quit, it had stopped working, it was because of the curse of the pharaoh. Eventually, the substitute fans worked well enough to finish the procedure. Sometimes what happens is you have the expensive of the equipments, but when required, it is the inexpensive equipments that really works better than the expensive one. After checking that no data had been lost, the technicians turned Tut over the workmen who carried him back to his tomb. That means, as he was taken out of his tomb, in the similar manner, he was taken inside his tomb. Less than 3 hours after he was removed from his coffin, the pharaoh again rested in peace, where the funerary priest had laid him so long ago. Dear students, in all the religions, in all the communities, it is believed that you should not at all fiddle with the death, you should not at all go against nature. Pharaoh's curse, no matter if the joke, if this particular thing was just a joke, but that had spoiled the $1 million scanner. And now again King Tut was rested back in his coffin, and that is why it is said that in peace means where there would be no disturbance at all. Back in the trailer, a technician pulled up astonishing image of Tut on a computer screen. A grey head took shape from a scattering of pixels. You know, pixels are there in the camera. And the technician spun and tilted it in every direction. It is just like when you take a photograph and when you want to crop it, there's the option of rotating the image. The same thing is there. Other images revealed a hand, several views of the rib cage, and a transection of the skull. But for now, the pressure was off. That means now Zahi Hawass, the Secretary General of the Egyptian Antiquities, was relieved. Why? Because their aim was fulfilled. And what was the aim? To get the mummy of King Tut scanned. Sitting back in his chair, Zahi Hawass smiled, visibly relieved that nothing had gone seriously wrong. I did not sleep last night. This is the quality of a workaholic. Till the time your work gets complete, you cannot rest. He said, I was so worried, but now I think I will go and sleep. This is how Zahi Hawass was so relieved. And my dear students, this was the sort of the hydraulic lift that was used to take up the coffin of King Tut. Sitting back in his chair, Zahi Hawass smiled, visibly relieved that nothing had gone seriously wrong. I did not sleep last night, not for a second. I was so worried, but now I think I will go and sleep. By the time we left the trailer, descending the metal stairs to the sandy ground, the wind had stopped. Now see this at the starting of the chapter and the ending of the chapter. At the start of the chapter, the wind started blowing and blowing very strongly, and they are termed as the ghostly winds. Why? Because the dead was being tampered with. They were going against nature. And now when the body of King Tut again has been rested, now the strong winds had subsided, as if they also had made the peace. They have also understood that everything has come back to normal. The winter air lay cold and still, like death itself in this valley of the departed. Just above the entrance to the Tut's tomb stood Orion. We had already discussed what was Orion. It was the constellation who was guiding the tomb of King Tut. And according to the ancient Egyptians, the soul of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, is watching the boy king. And this is what you've got to remember, that if at all, if you see Orion, the constellation, which is guarded by Osiris, that is the goddess of afterlife. you would see that it is the tomb of King Tut.